last week we interviewed Tim, and this week we get the next best thing. Hey everyone, my name's Gabby, and this is
I'm Connor.
Son of Tim, right?
Son of Tim.
So Connor is one of our many, I guess, talented employees here. You do a
Hopefully.
lot here,
I'll
right?
take that, yeah.
So what
I
do you
try
do?
to. Parts, fill in for service sometimes. We do the videos on occasion.
Yes, and you're actually one of our most famous video stars, I guess. So one of our most popular videos on this channel, it was EV6 that we filmed way long ago. I think it was our third or fourth live, so I was still very much a noob at this. But it's at 1.4 million views, and I like to say it's all thanks to Connor. Although we've never been able to replicate that refilming with Connor, so maybe it was just a one-time thing.
I don't think it was me.
All right, so just like we did last week, we're going to interview Connor, and this podcast episodes is still going to be fairly car related, so we're going to ask a couple more personal car questions, if that makes sense, just what our opinions are really. But we'll also get into some of the parts and service side of things as well too, because again, this is an informative channel. So I want to start off with Connor, how long have you worked here at Brantford Kia?
6 official years, but 5 full years because I took a year kind of working Saturdays. I went to school.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
What'd you go to school for?
Fanshawe, and went for entrepreneurship.
All right, and what do you want to still do anything in the entrepreneur world, or?
If anything, it almost made me kind of wary about owning my own business. Just the logistics of it.
Yeah. I'm guessing the time that you went to school for that too, the world was also in a very
that was 2020.
Interesting place.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it really opened your eyes to just the overhead, the stress.
Yes, absolutely.
People, professionals were business owners. They talk about, sitting in their bed in the middle of the night worrying about how they're going to pay their employees in the morning.
Yeah, that's not exactly something I would love to do.
It's kind of a catch-22. It's amazing to be a business owner, but it does have that added stress of everything else.
Absolutely. So you've worked in parts and service. Which one do you definitely prefer to work for? I already know the answer, but
parts is definitely a lot more laid back, and working with the technicians, working with body shops. On service, you're directly dealing with the public, which it takes a special person to do that, absolutely. Unfortunately, I'm not that special.
No.
I couldn't do it. I lasted about a year and a half. I think the average length is about 3 to 5 years for a service advisor.
Yeah.
So I didn't even make it halfway.
Well, you know what? You were so brave for that. Because I know it's not easy. Charlotte
also
did
it as well, yeah. And she couldn't do it either. It's hard. It takes a special type of person.
We should definitely interview one of our current service advisors because they are tough cookies, and I know they got a lot to say.
Yeah, they take a lot of crap.
So speaking of a lot to say, we asked our viewers what they'd like to see Connor answer, or I guess hear Connor answer. So let's kind of dig into what answers or questions I got.
All right, what do we got?
A lot of these are not serious, which I will say, which is kind of what I expected.
Yeah.
But here's a fun one. So this is from Alwyn George. He asked, what is the worst car you've ever had to drive so far? And I'm going to add on and why.
Worst quality car? I would have to say Jeep Wranglers.
Okay.
We had Peter used to work here. If you watch our YouTube videos at all, you will know Peter. He had a white, I'm not sure the exact year and model, but it was a white 2-door Jeep, and it drove like crap. How you picture driving in a movie where you're constantly moving your hands, that's how it is driving a Jeep.
Yeah.
I do not like driving Jeeps.
I think it was my second or third week working here, and we had, I think, 2 Jeep Wranglers on the lot. They were used. And I was like, I never driven a Wrangler before. Can I take one home? They're like, yeah. Going on the highway, 100 kilometers per hour. I was fighting for my life, just trying to stay in the lane. And it was a fairly new one too, low mileage, so it's not like it was something that was beat or
old. And
it was interesting. I get the appeal for some people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you are someone who's actively, doing it or driving it for its intended purpose, an off-road vehicle.
Yeah.
But let's face it, a majority of Jeep drivers,
it's all city and highway, which isn't what it's made for.
They off-road at the Costco parking lot.
Yeah, the curbs.
All right, and then another question we got was, any tips for people who also work in the parts department? How did you manage it? Special tips, etc. So what kind of tips do you have to work in a parts department?
That's a good question. It's hard keeping track of things. Definitely writing things down. I find if I don't write things down, it's, if someone calls, hey, did you order that part? It's like, oh crap. I can go and look at my notes. Oh yeah, I ordered it here. Taking notes is definitely helped.
Mike, I see your notes.
Mike, our parts manager, one thing that we can do is never have a part leave the parts department without knowing where it's going.
Okay, yeah.
Guys will just come in and take whatever, and then, I'll add it to the work order in 10 minutes. Well, now you're doing something else in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So just keeping track of everything.
Making sure you're staying on top of things, yeah. Another question about the parts department. kind of how did you get into the car business? Sorry, I guess you didn't start in parts, or did you?
No, I started in detailing actually.
Okay.
I went from, well, actually my dad, Tim, texted me one day and said, "Do you want to work at Brantford Kia?"
And Connor said absolutely
I said,
not.
"Absolutely."
Not.
So that was a Friday. On Monday morning I started, and that was 6 years ago.
And
And
has your life been better or worse since?
It's been a little bit better.
A little bit of both. Depends
No,
on the day.
working here is great. You know, everyone's great. That's one reason why I stay. Really, it's just great people here.
And it's funny that you mentioned, so Connor started in detailing. I don't think I was working here when you were detailing. I
think
think
so,
you were
no.
already in service, but you still detailed every once in a while.
Yeah.
Connor is still the person I will grab if I have a question regarding, I don't know if it's a used car with a scratch or something, or any sort of like more specialty detail work that has to be done. I'm getting Connor because I trust him the most. I know he's going to do a good job. And I guess that kind of takes me into more so your personal life. So you have a collection of cars.
I have two.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
And they are the same? No. Oh, you sold one of them.
I did. I had 2 Miatas at one point, and I ended up getting rid of one. It had a little bit more rust than I thought.
Okay, so you're a Miata person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
It's gonna sound a little lame. As a kid, even still, I still ride a scooter. Everyone, Tanner Fox, and I like
I
those
don't know
guys.
that,
You don't know Tanner Fox? Oh, big YouTuber.
I'm not a big. Is he a scooter YouTuber?
He more transitions into kind of just vlog stuff now.
Okay.
Either way, one of the guys had Miatas, and I wanted to be like them, of course. So that was 8 years ago, and now I still have Miatas, and
I think that's nice though.
they're just fun cars to drive, and
They are.
it's
They're cute cars. I'm sorry. I'm
absolutely-
sorry.
no,
to
they
call
are.
your
They're
car
definitely cute and soft, and
But they're the happy car.
absolutely.
I think Mazda's very special for that. They always have a face on their car,
Yeah.
if that makes sense, and they
always
look.
smiling.
Yeah, they always look happy. Some cars, especially today, I find they're all going towards a more aggressive look.
Very
but
edgy.
Mazda, especially with their Miata, is still smiling, still having a good time, which is very, very nice. So you've dropped down to only one Miata now. Why?
I only got one. Well, the plan was originally I'm going to switch all the parts over to this newer one,
Okay.
and it had too much rust and just had too many issues, so I just ended up selling it. And
And this is your third one now, though, right?
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
That's a problem.
that is.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an issue. But you also have a daily, which is a pretty
do.
cool car.
I drive a 13 Honda Civic Si,
Okay.
but I had a older Honda Civic that was written off, and long story short, I made more money off of it, so I was able to get a little bit of a nicer
Is it
car.
that yellow one?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
I remember that
pretty
car.
beat up. It was
I thought it was kind of cool.
it was different.
Yeah.
But just
Not
yeah.
your thing.
Just it had been an accident. It had been slightly repaired, not properly, and
Yeah.
it had a bunch of issues. But it made out okay.
And I guess before we get into more of the parts and service side of things, a couple more fun questions. So I wanted to ask you, Dream Garage, only 3 cars, no budget. What are you picking?
A 911 Turbo.
Okay. Is that going to be your daily, or
I don't know.
what role does that have in the lineup?
Let's just do 3 cars. So 911
Okay.
Turbo first, and then I like an R8. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, let's do 911 Turbo R8.
Spider?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do a convertible still.
Okay.
A little bit bigger than the Miata. Oh, what else? What else could we do? I'm trying to think of something good. Maybe we'll do like a Supra or something.
A Supra?
Something Japanese.
Like classic
Yeah,
or current?
like a Mark IV, yeah.
Okay, good. I was gonna
Yeah.
say, no BMWs here.
Those definitely wouldn't be like top, but those are the kind of the cars that I can think of that would be
Like
very
right
nice.
off the bat.
Yeah.
It's a hard question to answer. Every
is.
time I get asked this, I'm just like, okay, what's my current fixation car?
Right?
Because I cannot actually sit down and pick between all those options.
Well, that's why I said R8, because there was an R8 at the track. We did a Kia EV6
Yeah.
Ioniq 5 GT race, and there was a twin turbo R8 there, and I'm like, holy crap.
No rear bumper.
No rear bumper,
It
yeah.
was crazy. There's also a Lambo like that too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty quick too.
We didn't go up against them. They didn't want to race. They were scared.
Michael and I beat the Hellcat though.
Yeah, that is true.
Twice.
That is true. Hellcats are also awesome cars.
Yeah, that was cool.
So another question I wanted to ask you is, out of every manufacturer, I feel like certain manufacturers are famous for a specific paint color. And the reason why I bring this up is because you're a Mazda Miata guy. Mazda is famous for that beautiful Soul Red. But what is your favorite paint color out of any manufacturer ever? And I guess you can tell me why if you have a reason, but I feel like most people just, I like it, you know?
So going back to Mazda, I forget what color the Miata was originally painted. It was Midnight Mica or something like that. It was great. Flaked off and I had to wrap it.
Oh boy.
Was
Was that black? Like a blackish color?
It's like a dark blue with like a
Okay.
pearl in it. It's nice. But I like the, what's it, Riviera blue on the Porsche.
Is that
It's
a dark or the
kind of like a Miami blue, but a little bit darker.
Okay, okay.
So
yeah. Sweet.
I don't know. I'm trying to. I actually had to look them up beforehand. I couldn't
Yeah.
think of any like actual color. Like we talked about Nardo gray and Audi, and
Yeah.
and that's kind of what the Miata is right now. So it,
Yeah, so you've
Yeah.
wrapped it Nardo gray.
yeah,
Or like a similar
it's a
paint
little
color.
bit lighter than Nardo gray.
Did you
but-
finish wrapping it? Because last time I saw it, there was only little pieces of it, the car that were wrapped.
So Michael said he's going to help me with the front bumper. We haven't gotten around to it, but it's just the bumper that is killing me.
Is it something that's really hard to do?
Oh,
Or is it your specific car that's giving you a challenge?
I think it's, well, I mean, it's me. I've never wrapped a car. But just it being really rounded, and it's like
Yeah.
putting a sticker onto like a bowl.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's hard to do for sure.
But I don't know how how guys do it for a living.
Yeah, you gotta have the patience of a saint. I feel like,
Oh.
especially if you're a perfectionist, even longer.
Oh yeah.
You know? Oh, can you imagine Tim trying to wrap a car?
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah,
It just he hasn't, so that's why.
3 years later. And then back to the kind of parts and service side of things. So I answered a YouTube comment a few days ago, and they asked between a gas Sorento and a Sorento PHEV, which one's better on fuel, or not better on fuel, which one's better in the winter? And I said, well, both of these vehicles, I mean, they're about the same size, very similar ground clearance. They have the same all-wheel drive system. The PHEV is obviously a bit heavier, so if you consider it, it might be a little bit more planted in the ground,
True,
if that makes
yeah,
sense.
Definitely.
But at the end of the day, when it comes to winter performance, they're going to be about the same. They can handle it really well. I mean, obviously they're not low enough where they're going to be plowing the snow, but there's one crucial thing when it comes to winter driving that no all-wheel drive system or 4x4 system, or if it's front-wheel drive system, is going to help with, and that's stopping. So what can we do in Canada to actually, help our vehicle brake and stop safely?
Definitely winter tires.
Winter tires. That
Absolutely.
is truly the only thing. Obviously, all-wheel drive will help a tiny bit in those conditions just because you have power to, all the wheels.
Yep.
But the actual traction and lack of slippage is going to come down to the tires that are on your car,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you obviously recommend winters?
Oh, 100%. My mom always drove without any winters, and she'd do all seasons and just, kind of risk it.
Yeah.
And I said, no. I said, we're doing winter tires, and night and day difference, she said. It's,
Yeah.
like Gabby was saying, braking.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a chart. I think it's like 40 extra feet that you get with
Absolutely.
winter tires. It stops 40 less feet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're actually in an emergency situation, the winter tires will save you.
I feel like so many people are caught up on the fact that, I need all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is a must-have for me, and then
helps.
they'll disregard winter tires entirely. But you could save so much money not getting an all-wheel drive car, getting the front-wheel drive version of it, or a smaller car, for example, and just getting winter tires, and you'd be safer anyway.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, that's just me. We have done a full podcast episode on the topic if you would like to check that out. And then also on the topic of wheels, not necessarily winters, but just tires in general. EVs and tires. Why do we have to replace them so much more than a regular gas car?
Well, the sheer weight of the EV is significantly more. Like I think the EV9 is creeping up to 8,000 pounds.
It's absolutely insane.
Now, I wish I had the weight of the Telluride off the top of my head, but I don't.
Yeah. It's less.
It's significantly, well, not
Yeah.
significantly, but it is less.
Yeah.
So just the sheer weight of the vehicles are more. So that really what takes out the tires quicker.
And the instant torque on the vehicles too,
Yeah,
right?
if you're constantly gunning it around everywhere, like Gabby says, the slippage
The slippage.
off the line will definitely just wear them down just a little bit quicker. But moving into EV tires are a little bit more special. They're filled with a foam, and not like a forklift tire.
Yeah.
We had a gentleman at our EV night compared to a forklift tire. I said, no, it's not completely foam
a
filled.
little bit more complex than that.
It's more of just an acoustic
Yeah.
foam filling, just so
Yeah.
you don't hear the road noise as much because there's no engine noise.
Right.
But that's really the only true difference between a non-EV and a regular tire is just the foam filling in the inside.
And are they more expensive than regular tires typically?
That I've seen.
A little bit?
Yeah. Maybe in the future once they start manufacturing them more and more EVs are on the road. But at the moment, yeah, EV tires are a little bit more expensive.
Nothing significant though, right?
No, probably between $25 and $50 a tire, which I mean is $200 overall, but
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, I guess it is what it is.
It's not that much. One thing I will say though, if you want to make that cost a lot less, be careful with your torque when you're driving your EV. I will say it's absolutely night and day going from a gas car to an electric car, whether you're getting an electric performance car or just a regular commuter. The
yeah.
torque is absolutely instant. So if you're someone with a heavy foot, as soon as that light hits green, you're off the line and you're flying. Like you could wipe out a good amount of sports cars in just a regular Tesla
even our
Model 3,
Nero.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's crazy. And people don't realize that that's actually wearing your tires out. All that friction, all that contact, all
Yeah.
that stop and go. It's harder on your vehicle than a regular gas car. It's not to say EVs are bad, it's just
No,
something that you have to be mindful of.
You gotta think about it.
Yeah, and obviously driving accordingly will help with that, right? Yeah. So save a little bit of money. Connor won't take your money from the parts department as much.
And we'll find something that works for you. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about for the parts department?
I guess the only thing, if you don't get EV tires with an EV, the only real thing is you'll notice a little bit of range dropping down.
Yeah.
And maybe some tire noise.
And that goes for wheels too, right? Like the actual alloys themselves.
Yeah.
I always recommend, not only because they don't necessarily look good, but if you have an EV, not to get steel wheels for your winter tire package because they're heavy, right?
Yeah, no, it definitely adds to range dropping down. Just the rotational mass is a lot more. And
so you can find a semi-affordable set of alloys that are EV specific. Obviously, those are going to be formulated to be a little bit lighter weight and a little bit more aerodynamic, so that will help a little bit with the efficiency of a EV during winter, but nonetheless, you'll always get a little bit of range loss just because of the temperature, right? Yeah. And the different wheel setup. What else? Oh, I got a silly question. Is top tier fuel the best for a 2023 Sportage, and why?
Top tier, like premium fuel?
Yeah.
I guess it really depends.
I guess also where you live too.
Yeah, depending on where you live, the octane rating is different. Like I know in my Civic, it does recommend premium. In the Miata, it does not. So I put regular in the Miata. Now I do drive it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But it's not a high performance engine.
Yeah.
It doesn't use that extra octane. If you are putting premium into a regular 4-cylinder, it doesn't actually do anything with it. It just comes out as unburnt fuel out the exhaust.
Yeah.
So unless your car specifically says recommends or needs premium, or unless you're tuning it, you don't really need to do the premium fuel.
And here in Ontario, Canada at least, our Sportages, whether it's hybrid or gas, do not recommend premium fuel.
Nope.
The regular gas is non-turbocharged anyway, so I would say maybe with the turbo might be a little bit more substantial, but nonetheless, neither of them are recommending premium fuel. So don't worry, you do not have to do that. You'll be okay, as is with just our regular fuel. Let's see. Can I ask you dream single car? Maybe one car you've been obsessed with since you were a kid, or maybe it's a current fixation.
I always thought the Ferrari F40s were pretty cool. What's that one car in Need for Speed movie? Oh, I think it's a Koenigsegg. Agera, maybe?
Agera?
Possibly.
Okay, that sounds right. Yeah.
That sounds somewhat right. I always thought those were really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, something, a $5 million
really
hyper
cool
car.
after watching the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, dream car. You can get anything you want.
I don't know.
You can get a Pontiac Aztek.
Actually, those are pretty sweet with the tent.
Yeah, after watching Breaking Bad, I kind of wanted one.
I've never watched Breaking Bad.
You should.
I should.
It's very good. And there's a Pontiac Aztek in it.
I know. 918. Porsche 918.
Yes.
That would be very nice.
A very, very nice car to have.
Nice. I've only seen one through the showroom.
Really?
They wouldn't even let me into the building.
So I was at a PTN event, I believe it was 2 years ago now, and they had one right smack dab in the center. And then at the Toronto Auto Show 2 years ago, they're celebrating 75 years.
Oh, well, maybe I did see it in person
years.
then.
I forget if it was 60 years or 75 years, or maybe 65. I totally forget.
One
you guys.
of the three.
I was just amazed. But there was a beautiful 918 Spider on display. Obviously, I couldn't touch it or sit in it either. But like.
Really, you should have flashed your badge. You know who I am.
Guys, this is the Kia Hyundai channel. I
Gabby.
think you should give me access to the
Come on.
Porsche 911 or 918. Yeah, I don't think that would have worked. Not gonna lie.
However, they did have I think it was a Pagani at the auto show last year that was all carbon fiber.
They had like 3 this year.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy this year.
Crazy.
There's so many different cars. It's hard to say what is a dream car because, it's. Yeah.
I think it's also worth noting, yes, we are the Kia Hyundai channel. We specialize in, obviously, the Kia Hyundai side of things. Me and Charlotte will talk about these cars all day. Connor will help you in the parts and service department. He can tell you everything there is to know about these cars in those aspects. And then even in the features, you're fairly familiar with them. But we also have other cars that we like too, right?
Yeah.
We're just car enthusiasts, and we want to know what you guys want to hear us talk about, any questions you have. We are thinking of doing a episode dedicated to iconic colors and maybe even models of vehicles in next week's podcast. Thank you to Samuel for the idea on that. But other than that, if there's anything you guys ever want to see or anything you want to hear from either Connor, myself, Charlotte, or any of our team members, let us know because, again, We want to do what you guys want to hear because you're the ones listening to us.
I love doing stuff like this. I love answering your guys' questions and
Connor
just
loves
talking.
being interviewed.
I do. It's fun. You know, I mean, for one, it takes time away from working day, and this is, you know, it's
There
fun.
you go.
It's fun to be here talking to you guys and making videos and.
And there's one crucial comment, very important comment. This was left by Bella Purr, who may or may not be an employee here.
Oh, I just realized the name.
And also my mom. Do you know Tim?
I do. I've known him for a handful of years.
Just a few.
24 to be exact.
Okay.
And yeah.
So most of your life.
Yes, all of it actually. I think he was there when I came out. He was my father.
Yes, Tim is his dad. Tim also works here. And if you want to know everything there is to know about Tim and his business practices, we interviewed him last week, so be sure to check that out. In the meantime, you guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate this podcast and follow along for more content just like this and our YouTube channel, the Kia Hyundai channel, for videos on all things car related. See you guys next time. Bye.